Hello dear students, welcome to the computer class of standard 10. I hope you all are fine and you all are doing well. Today we are going to begin our chapter number 15, arrays. So let's just start the chapter. So students, in this chapter we are going to discuss about the new concept of C language, that is the array. So what is the use of array and how it helps us in our C programming? So first, in the earlier chapters that we have already discussed, in that we have discussed the basic data types like a integer, float, character and double to store our decimal values, to store the fractional numbers or to store the string here. But here this type of variables can store only one value at a time. So to process one value, we need one variable in a program. And you already knows that how we can store the value, in which we can store the value in the variables only. So if you want to do any type of, if you want to store any type of the data, then variables are required. And each variable can store only one value at a time. Then you just assume that in a class 50 students are there, suppose. Then I want to store their computer marks in my program. Then one variable can store only one student marks. So to store that 50 students marks here, how many variables are required in our program? Yes, 50 variables. So you just see the 50 variables I have to declare and I have to initialize the value of a 50 variables. So it is very difficult and your program will become complex. So to solve this problem, here the C language provides us the facility that we can declare the group of variables together as a one variable only with the help of array concept. So here 60 students value I can store together, but just by declaring the one variable only. And in that I will provide the size, that how many values I want to store in that variable. So one concept is this, that is the we can group multiple variables together that belongs to a similar data type. So here I can declare the one variable only marks, and this marks variable will store the 60 values together of a 60 different students, but that should be the similar data types. So all the data types must be same of your variables, then only we can use the array concept. Now when the need is coming to use the array program, so imagine some of the following real life situations for which we want to write a C program. So maintain the marks of all students of class that we have discussed. Maintain the cost of all the products of a supermarket. List of employees and their contact number that we want to store. And maintain height and weight of each student of a class. So at that time, whenever this type of situations are coming, at that time we need to use the array concept. So to handle the marks of each student, instead of declaring the different variables such as the mark 0, mark 1, mark 2, mark 3, mark 4 and so on, here instead of declaring this 60 variables separately, we will declare one array variable such as marks. And in the square bracket, we have to write it down the values, that how many values you want to store inside the marks variable. So that is the size of your array. So that we have to give in the square bracket, and the size is a 60 here. Now to refer the individual students mark, now we can use the variable like mark 0, mark 1, mark 2 and so on. So in computer memory, array of a marks 59 will look like the one shown in a figure 15.1. So here you just see separately we have declared the one variable only, marks 60. but internally it will convert it into the index form and it will make a memory block. In the memory block it will create the 60 places there, and this all the 60 places have their address. So this address means the index number are there, so that will be created by the system itself. So they will make the place of these 60 variables together at a continuous block, as a continuous block. So this all the 60 variables, what are the value you are giving, that will be stored together only in a memory in the contiguous form. So here you just see, this is the representation of your data. So the first element, whatever the value you are giving, whatever the mark is there of the student, suppose the 30 is the mark of a first student. So that mark will be stored in the mark 0 place. Then after the second element will be stored to the mark 1 place. The third element will be stored to the marks 2 place. Then after marks 3 until marks 59. So this is the representation, the sample structure of a array in your computer memory. So what you are thinking that this is the one variable, but this is not a one variable. We are writing just one variable, and in bracket we are writing the 60. So this writing is the it visible like a one variable only, but internally in the memory the 60 separate blocks are there, and in each and every blocks the one data will be stored. So here this is the following important points that we have to remember about the array. So first, the array is a collection of elements that are having the same data type that we already discussed before. So this all the marks variables are belong to the same data type, that is the integer. So that is why this variable I can store as a array variable, because they all are with the same data type. Then after, it is a fixed size sequential collection of elements, and an array element occupies the contiguous memory location. So it will store into the memory in the continuous form, that is visible over here, same as. The element of an array is accessed by an index number. So how we can access this array elements, because the 60 values are stored together, then each and every value has the specific address. So how we can get this array element? With the help of their index number. So the index number contained within the square brackets. So how it is written, this index number? These index numbers are written within the square brackets. Here you can see like this, mark 0, mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. So like this, the index number will be written in the square brackets, and it is also known as a subscript. So here you have to remember the index numbers are also known as a subscript. And the subscript number must be an integer or an integer expression. Whatever the index number must be the integer number only. And then after, it should begin with the 0. So always remember your index number will begin with the 0. So here if you are storing the 60 values, the size of your array is a 60. But the index number will begin from the 0 and it will end to the 59. So the index number, that is from the 0 to 59. So this is about the representation of the array, and these are the points that you have to remember about this array. Then after, the next concept is coming, that is how many types of array we have in the C language. So there are two types of array. One is the single dimensional or the one dimensional array, and second is the multi-dimensional array. So the single dimensional array may have the one row or one column. So in the one dimensional array, either we are having the one row, means either we are storing the data in the horizontal form. So when we are storing the data in the horizontal form, it has only one row. And when we are storing the data in the vertical form, then it has only one column. But in the multi-dimensional array, there are more than one or more rows and one or more columns are available. and this number of rows and columns are specified by the user as per the program requirement. Means how many rows are required and how many columns you need, that user can decide based on their need. Here we will discuss only 1 and 2 dimensional array. So two types of array we are going to discuss in this chapter. That is, first is the 1 dimensional array and next is a 2 dimensional array. So first we will discuss the single dimensional array, 1 dimensional array. So how we can declare this type of array variable? So first, to declare an array in the C language, we specify the type of a data which we want to store in the elements and the number of elements to be stored in the array. So first we will see the syntax. So first is the data type. So first you have to specify the data type here. Then after, the array name, means the name of your array and size of the array in the square bracket. So that is known as a subscript also. So here how many values you want to store in this array variable, that you have to provide in the size. So data type means the which type of data you want to store in the array variable, like a integer, character, float, etc. So all the basic data types you can set here according to your wish. Then after, the name of your array. How we are defining the variable name? Same as you have to decide the name of your array. But whatever the names you are giving, that should be the meaningful. So you can remember the easily. And the array name should be in the context with what is being stored in that array in a program. So according to your content that you are going to store inside that array variable, according to that you have to give the name of your array. And next is the size. The value of size that indicates the number of elements that the array can store. So the size must be the integer constant that should be the greater than 0. So here whatever the size you are specifying, that must be the greater than 0, and that is the always integer constant, means the integer value you have to specify that as a size. Now for example, to store the marks of a 60 students, how many students marks we want to store in a variable? 60 students mark. So for that, how we can declare the array variable? So marks always will be in the number form. So if we want to store the number, then first what will be the data type here? Yes, integer, because we want to store the numbers, full numbers only, because marks will be in the full numbers. So here we are using the data type integer. Then after, the name, what we want to store here? Marks. So here the array name I am deciding, that is marks. And how many students marks I want to store? 60. So what will be the size of my array? That is 60. So this 60 I will write in the square brackets and then after semicolon. So this is the way to declare your array variable. So this process is known as a declaration of your 1 dimensional array. So here, not that the marks array declared here will be able to contain only 60 integer values. So how many values you can store now here in the marks variable? Only 60 values, not more than that. So here, like this, we have discussed the declaration process. The example of array that can store character, floating point value as well as the large values is shown in the declaration below. So how we have declared the integer variable? Same as we can declare the character variable to store the string, float variable and double variable. So data type, and just we have to change the data type and variable name. So first we have used the character, strings and 20. This variable, the character array, we have already discussed in the previous programs, because if we want to store the name, then the name contain the multiple characters. So how we can store the multiple characters? By using the character array, and it is also known as a string data type. So this we have already discussed the concept. Then after, next is a percentage. If you want to store the percentage of a multiple students, then percentage can be in the fractional number also. So for that we will use the float data type. and then after the percentage and 20. And double is also used to store the fractional number only, but with the higher precision value. So here we are specifying the data type double and 20 values I want to store there. So now we will see that how to assign the value to our single dimensional array. So there are two different ways to initialize your array variable. First is the compile time array initialization and next is a runtime array initialization. So first we will discuss the compile time array initialization. So an array can be assigned value similar to our normal variable at the time of a declaration. Means when you are declaring your array variable, at that time only you can store the value inside the variable. When you are writing the program, at that time you can specify the value or you can store the value inside the variable. So this process is known as a compile time array initialization. So when we are declaring the value during the designing of your program or during the writing time of your program, that process is known as a compile time initialization. The syntax is like this. First you have to declare your variable. So data type, array name and size. Then after don't put the semicolon but you use the equal sign, and in the curly bracket you just provide the value that you want to store inside that variable separated by a comma. And then after the closing curly bracket and semicolon. So here the value 1, value 2, value n provides the initial values for the successive elements of the array. So following is the example here where we specify the size and set the values of all the elements of a arrays. So here our array variable is integer, marks and 5. So size of our array is a 5. So how many values we have to give in the bracket? 5 values. So now equal is equals to, in the square bracket I am writing 60, 65, 70, 75 and 80. So these are the marks of my students that I have given in the static way. So like this process is known as a compile time array initialization. So here this will be declared an array variable mark that can store the 5 elements with the values set as a mark 0. So index numbers are created here. So mark 0 will store the value 60, the first element. Then the next index number, that is marks 1, will store the second element 65. Marks 2 will store the third element 70. Marks 3 will store the fourth element 75 and marks 4 store the fourth element, that is 80. And during such declaration, if list of the values are less than the size of an array, then only specified number of elements will be initialized and remaining any elements will be initialized to 0. Means here you have specified the size is a 5. But when we are storing the value, at that time you have written the 3 values only in the bracket. So here you can see that 60, 65 and 70 only have written. So when you are giving the less value than your original size, then it will store only that value that is provided by you. So first value will be stored in the index 0, second value will be stored in the index 1 and third value will be stored in the index 2. Now the rest 2 values I have not given, that is for the index 3 and index 4. So that will be initialized as a 0. So there will not be any output, but instead of their place the 0 will be there. If the array elements are assigned value at the time of the declaration itself, then specifying the size is a optional. Means when you are assigning the value during the declaration type of your array, then here whatever the size we are providing in the square bracket, if you will not provide that one, then it's okay. Whatever the value you are giving in the bracket, based on that automatically it will decide the size of your array like this. So here you can see that in the square bracket I haven't written anything, and just simply in the square brackets, in the curly brackets, I have given my value of the variable. So how many value I have given in the bracket, based on that the compiler will automatically set the size of my array. So if I am declaring during the declaration time, if I am specifying the value, then based on my value it will specify the size automatically. So this is about the declaration of your array variable, and this is the example of compile time array initialization. So next we will discuss that if we wants to store the next type of value, that is the character value. So here how we can store the values of a character variable. So see, the first you have to write your data type, that is character, then after your array name, that is the student name, and how many characters you can set here. You can store 6 characters only. So two ways are there, that you can give either this value in the double quotation mark and together you just write your name, and the first one method we have seen practically. And next, that character student name and 6 is written. So in that you can give the single characters with the single quotation mark and separated by a comma. So like this, two ways are there to give the string input here based on the size. And at the last we are using the null character. So here this null character, not that the when we initialize the character array by listing its elements, it is necessary to specify the null character that we have added at the last, at the end of the string. We can also declare the character array without specifying the size as follow. So here no need to specify the size that we have discussed earlier, just you can give your string here. So based on the string length, it will automatically specify the size of your array. So this is the way to declare the character array, or to store the value in a character array with the compile time array initialization. So now we are going to discuss the one-dimensional array practically with the compile time and runtime array initialization. So let's just see practically our one-dimensional array. So students, now first we will see practically the example of one-dimensional array with the compile time initialization. So for that we are going to begin our Turbo C++ program. So here you can see that one program is already written by me, that is saved as a array 1. So first here we will write the documentation about that program, that is the example of 1D array, one-dimensional array. So 1D array with compile time initialization. With the compile time initialization. So this is our documentation. Now we will see the program here. So here we have declared one array variable named as a marks. And what is the size of a variable? 5. That means I can store the marks of 5 students here in one array variable mark, that is type of a integer data type. And this is the compile time array initialization, means here I am not getting the value from user, but here I am giving the static value. So what is the mark of a student, that is already given by me here. So this is called the compile time initialization, means when we are declaring our array variable, at that time only we will provide the value of that variables. And we have already discussed earlier that whenever we are creating the array variable, it will automatically create the index here. So here the array size is a 5, so the index numbers begins from the 0. So here we are having the variable, 5 variables are there of a marks, but they are grouped together as a array variable. So here internally it is as a marks 0, mark 1, mark 2, mark 3 and mark 4. Like this the 5 separate variables are there, and in each and every variable this value will be stored, means the 10 will be stored into the mark 0. Then after 20 will be stored into the mark 1, 30 will be stored into the mark 2, 40 will be stored into the mark 3, and 50 will be stored into the mark 4. So now we have to, these values are stored in this index variable. So when we want to print that data, at that time we have to use the concept of loop. Yes students, the loop that we have discussed in the previous session, in our previous chapter number 14. So this loop we will use to print our data that is stored in this index variable. So here one variable we are using integer I to create the loop. So here for loop we are using, and we are initializing the for loop value with the 0. Why? Because our index number begins with the 0, that is marks 0. Yes. So here I is equals to 0. Now what is the size of our array variable? 5 only. So though it is begins with the 0, so condition here, the ending condition means I less than 5. And every time we have to increase this value by 1. So I plus plus. Now we are using the printf function to print the value of our this value that we have already given here. So now percentage %d and marks, and in the marks I have written in the square bracket, instead of 5 I have written here I. Whatever the variable is there, that only we are printing. Yes. So here instead of 5 I have written I. So now it will iterate the loop. So now what is the I value? I is equals to 0. So now I is 0 is less than 5. Yes, condition will become true. So it will print the marks of I. I value is 0. That means marks of 0. So now what is the marks of 0? That is 10. So 10 will be printed there. Then after the next is the I plus plus. So now I value will become 1. So like this it will print the value of marks 1. So what is the marks 1 value? 20. So like this it will be printed. Now we will compile our program. We will check any mistakes is there or no. So there is no any mistake. So press any key to come out from that, and then after run that program by pressing Ctrl plus F9. And see, here you can see whatever the input we have given, that input are visible over here. That is 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. This is the marks of a student. So here we are not supposed to input anything. Whatever the value is already given by us. So as the output, whatever the value is given by you, that will be visible on the output screen. So students, now we will discuss that how we can create the one-dimensional array with the help of runtime initialization. So for that again we will open our Turbo C++ program, and here we have used our previous program only. But in that, here instead of static value, now we will get this value from the user. So whatever the mark user will enter, that will be displayed over here. So here we are using this one. Now here for loop, this for loop we have used to print the value. But before printing the value, now we have to get the value from the user first. So for that also one for loop is required, because we are storing the value in our index number only. So here we will use one for loop to scan that value, and next for loop to print the value. So that scanf function for loop we are creating now. So I less than 5, same for loop will be there. So I plus plus. Now in the for loop body we will write the scanf function. Scanf %d ampersand sign we have to use in the scanf. Same marks of I. So here with the help of this scanf function, it will store the values in the index number, and then after whatever the values are stored in the index number, that will be printed with our printf function that we have used in the earlier one. So this thing we have to add to make our program dynamic. So here static values are not there, we have to get the values from user, otherwise the rest of the things are just same only. But two for loops are here. Now what is the use of this for loop? This for loop will get the value from user. What are their marks? and whatever the marks user has inputted, that value will be stored over here, that will be visible on your output screen with the help of printf function. So now we will compile this program first. There is no error. Now control F9 to see the output. See, here they will prompt you to enter the value. So here you have to enter how many values? 5 values. So first I am entering 20. In the next line 45, 50, 70 and 60. So marks is 20, 45, 50, 70 and 60. So whatever the mark is given by user, that will be visible over here as a output. So this program is called the compile time array initialization. Sorry, the runtime array initialization means when we will run our program, then after user will input the value, what are their marks, and that marks will be visible over here as a output. So this is called the runtime array initialization. So I hope you understood this runtime array initialization. Very easy, just one for loop is required to scan the value. And with the help of scanf function, whatever the input we will give, that will be stored in this particular index number, that is mark 0, mark 1, mark 2, mark 3 and mark 4, because the size of array is a 5. So 5 index they will create from the 0 to 4. And how we are creating this index value? With the help of our I variable, with the help of our for loop. So this is the concept of one dimensional array, and in the one dimensional array only one row and column is there. So I hope you understood this one dimensional array. So students, now we will discuss about the multi-dimensional array. So the single dimensional array keeps the track of information in a linear order, means in the sequential form. However, the data associated with a certain real life system such as a digital image, a chess game board, matrix, etc. are available in a 2 dimensions. So to think about this type of system in a program, we need a multi-dimensional data structure. So the C language allows us to create multi-dimensional array. As mentioned earlier, the multi-dimensional array have more than one rows and columns. So we can create the 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional or n-dimensional array in a C. So the simplest form of multi-dimensional array is the 2-dimensional array, and that we are going to discuss in this chapter. So here the 2-dimensional array have a row index as well as column index, and we will discuss only the 2-dimensional array in this chapter, as I said earlier. So here now 2 size we have to provide. It is just like a 2 representation of the data in a tabular form. So how we are representing the data in the table with the help of rows and columns? Do you remember our Excel program? So in the Excel program, the sheet is divided into the cells that are having the cell address with the rows and columns. So same as here also, we will use the 2 size we have to provide here. One is for the row and one is for the column. So how many rows and columns are required, that we have to say there, and 2 loops are also required here to store the data with their index, row and column number. So now we will see the multi-dimensional array practically with both the initialization method, the compile time as well as run time. So before that, we will see here the declaration of a 2-dimensional array. So you just see here this type of data I want to store. So this is the row and column you can see. So how many columns are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 columns and 3 rows. So here you can see these 5 columns are there: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. And rows are 3, that is salesman 1, salesman 2 and salesman 3. So based on that, we have to decide our value. So here you just see the data type, array name, row size and column size. 2 square boxes are there here in the 2-dimensional array. one box, the first one box is for the row size and next is for the column size. And here you just see in our table the data type, what are the value we have stored, that is the numbers only. So data type is the integer. Now this is the sales details table. So the name of my data array name is a cells, and how many rows I want. So first row size, so 3 rows are required, so I have written 3 there. And how many columns I need? 5. So column, in the column box I have written 5 and semicolon. So like this we can declare the two-dimensional array. So let's discuss this 2D array practically. So students, now we are going to discuss the next type of array, that is the multi-dimensional array. So in the multi-dimensional array, the data has been stored in the table-like form with the help of rows and columns. So in the tabular form, you can store the data in the C language, that is with the help of two-dimensional array. So it is just like a one-dimensional, but here we are having that in the one-dimensional only one row and one column is there, but here we are having the rows and columns. So let's see the program of this, what is the syntax of this array and how we can declare that one. So first we will see the compile time array, two-dimensional array. So what is the syntax here? First you have to write the data type of your array variable, then after your variable name. So here we are going to display the 3 by 3 matrix, means the table with the 3 rows and 3 columns. So in this form I want to store my data in a array form. So here you just see I have my variable name is a matrix mtr, and the size first one box is for the row value. So how many row we want? So 3. So this is the row size, and this is the next square box is for the column size. So this is the syntax of your array variable, 2D array. First the data type, then after your variable name, and then after the row value and the column value. So here is the 3 by 3 matrix. So total how many values we have to store? 9 values. So this 9 values is provided by me here only, along with the initialization. When we are declaring the variable, at that time only I have initialized the value. So that is why it is known as a compile time initialization. So now the value is stored in the matrix. So here it also however we have discussed the index number, here also index number are there. So here this 1, 2 and 3. So first this 1 value is stored at the 0, 0 location. So here this matrix also it will create the value here. So 0, 1 and 2, like this it will create the index. So I will show you with the example only. When we will see the output, at that time you will understand here. So now we have used this, declare this variable. So value is stored in this matrix. Now row and column, I told you that nested loop concept we will discuss in our next chapter. So now we are going to discuss this nested loops. So 2 loops are required here students. One is for the row and one is for the column. So first we have declared the loop for the row with the help of the for loop and row variable we have used. So here our row index begins with the 0. The row index, the ending position we are giving the row less than 3, because the 3 values only we want to store, and next is the row plus. Now first it will create the row. So first row is created here, then after in the row it will generate the column. So now column is equals to 0, column less than 3 and column plus. How many columns are there? 3 columns only. So that is why we have written here column less than 3. Now it will print the value. So here before printing we are writing here the message. This will display the index number. What is your index number currently? So percentage %d and percentage %d we have written. So now both are the 0, 0. So here 0, 0 will be stored and equals to percentage %d. So what is the here? This percentage %d will store your data that is stored here at the 0, 0 position. So this here the answer will be there, that is the 1 that is given by you. Now row, column. So here it will display the row value, that is 0, then after column value 0 and your matrix value respectively. So this is our program, and here we have written /t to give the space between when the output will come in the matrix. And here we are printing the /n. So after printing the three values, automatically the /n will be printed there and cursor will come in a new line. So it will display like in the tabular form. So here we have get over our program, and now we are going to compile our program. Alt F9. There is no error and no warning. Now Control F9. See, this is the output. Now we are not entering any value because the value has been already stored here. So here you can see 1 is the low index, that is the 0 0, and here the value is 1 is stored at the 0 0 location. Then after the row index and column index. So row index is still here 0 only, but column index is 1, and at that value, at that place the 2 value has been stored. Then after at the 0 2 means the row is 0 and column is a 2 now, and at that position the third value is stored. So like this it will maintain the index years, that is 0 0 0 1 0 2 1 0 1 1 1 2 and 2 0 2 1 2 2. So like this it will measure the index. So here the first box shows your column row value and next box shows the column value. So then after this is the data of a first row, then after the next row it will discuss. So next row is the 1 is row number is a 1 and column number is 0. So at the second row the data will be stored, that is the 4. So like this the respectively data has been stored here in the row and column index. So this is the output of our matrix program. In the tabular form it will be visible, and because we have given the /t, that is why the space is coming between them. So now we'll press any key to come out from this concept. Now along with that we will discuss now the compile time. We have discussed. Now we want to discuss the runtime array initialization. Means we want to get the value from user, and whatever the value user will enter, that should be printed over here. So the same thing is there. Now I will tell you that how we can copy the content here. Same concepts are there, just instead of scanf we have to use the printf statement. So here you can use the shift key and hold down your arrow key, right arrow key. So select this first line. After selecting the first line, don't release your shift key and use the down arrow to select this one. So now we will go to the Alt E in the edit menu, and from that you just select copy option. Then after, place your cursor where you want to copy this content. So here I want to copy. So now again I will go to the edit menu by pressing Alt E, and then after you just select paste option. So here you can see the loop has been pasted over here. So here this /n is not required because now we are not printing the value, we are just storing the value in our with the help of our scanf statement. And instead of scanf, we will use the printf. Here we will use scanf statement. So we will remove all these things and simply we will write the scanf there. Scanf %d ampersand and matrix row and column. First row box. See here whatever the variable we have used, the same we are using. So here the same variable we will use matrix mtr 3 and 3. So instead of 3 and 3 for this row and column we have used the for loops that with the variable row and column. So instead of this size 3 and 3 you have to write down the value, that is row and column, your variable. Then after bracket over and semicolon. So now our program is ready. This much change only you have to make in your runtime array initialization. So instead of the static value, now we will get the value from the user, and whatever the value we will get from the user, that will be stored over here in this matrix variable, and in the next printf statement that value only we are printing. So now we will check Alt F9, any mistakes are not there. Now Control F9. So here we have to enter the 9 values. So here I am entering 1. In one line only one input you have to give. So 1, then after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is my value, and this is the same output will be the students, but before what happened here, we have entered the value, and that values are visible over here with that index number. So now here, if before you wants to print message for the user that enter the value for a 3 by 3 matrix, so that also you can give. So before the for loop, here you just write your message, that is printf enter enter 9 values for 3 by 3 matrix, semicolon. Now F2 to save your file, Alt F9 and Control F9. So first it will give you the message that enter 9 values for the 3 by 3 matrix. Now any value you can input according to your wish. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19. This value I have given. So this 11 has been stored as a 0, 0 location. Then after 12 is 0, 1 and 13 is 0, 2. So these are the values of a first row. Then after 1, 0 is a 14 is stored as a 1, 0. 15 is stored as a 1, 1 and 16 is stored as a 1, 2. So we will see the output like this. So you can see here. Then after 17 is stored as a 2, 0. Then after 18 is as a 2, 1 and 2, 2. So like this the matrix will be visible over here. So this is the example of two-dimensional array with the runtime array initialization. So I hope you understood both the concept well. The one-dimensional array with the compile time and runtime array initialization, and the two-dimensional array with the compile time and runtime array initialization. Now students, we are going to discuss one of the limitation of an array, that is no array bound check. Means here in the C language there is no any facility given that whatever the index number user entering, that evaluation process is not there. So index number is automatically given by the compiler, but when the user wants to print the data, at that time user can fetch the data from any index number according to their wish. So here what is the use of this no array bound check and how it affects here? So array are the strength of a C language, but it is important to note that there is no array bound check in the C language. An array bound check means checking the boundaries of array declared in a program. So boundary means if I have specified the size of my array, that is 5, then the index number is given from the 0 to 4 only, correct? But when I am fetching the data from my array, then if I am providing the value there number 6, then also it will allow me. And if I am specifying there -1, then also it will allow me. So in the square bracket as an index value, I can specify anything. Whether that is out of my array boundary, out of the size of my array, then also the compiler will not generate any type of error. There is no any method or there is no any mean is given that can check the boundary of the array. So that is why if I will give that the number 6, though the size is still the number 4 only, then also it will not generate any type of error. But as the array is no bound check of array index, we will not get the any error, but the program will give us the garbage data or it will crash. So whatever the error will not give it, but it will give you the garbage data, means any random number will be there as the output, or it will crash your program. So this is the last topic of our program, that is no array bound check, and that is the limitation of the array concept. So now we are going to conclude our chapter number 15, array. So I hope you understood all the things well, whatever we have discussed in this chapter. Thank you, students.